Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to Ableton Tips and Tricks series part 1. Today I'm going to show you how to set audio and MIDI and also Ableton starting point default. This will help you save a lot of time, avoiding a lot of repetitive action that you tend to do for each track. This is the starting point of your Ableton. You start with one audio track and one MIDI track, but it shouldn't have to be this way. Usually, in all my tracks, I have an EQ. I think that's a standard. I mean, you need it. I tend to use EQ 8 because of more flexibility, and I drop it here. And also, I use utility because sometimes the starting point, the volume, if you want to like adjust the volume of each instrument, so you got several tracks here, and then one instrument tends to be quieter or louder than the other one relatively. You can quickly adjust from here. You know, when you turn this off, you save a lot of memory, so I start usually at this state. In order to avoid dragging and dropping, repeating this process each time, I right click and then click on save as default audio track. Now after doing that, if I go and say insert an audio track 2 already starts with an EQ and utility. For my MIDI, I usually tend to like to have an arpeggiator. It's a good option to have because I tend to have at least one arpeggiator MIDI track, and you don't have to use it, it's just there. It doesn't require any memory when it's at the off state. It's just there so that if you would like to use one, you can just simply turn this on. Then right click, save as default MIDI track. If I go create MIDI track, all my MIDI track will come with an arpeggiator. This is my starting point. Now as you see, my audio has EQ 8 and utility, and my MIDI has arpeggiator. But again, I don't like this to be my default because I know for sure that I'm going to use a drum rack. Go to drum racks. Let's say this is my favorite drum rack with all these configurations. I know that I have vocal tracks, so, and then you can drop in a few instruments, a guitar track. Even you can set your vocal EQ, for example, for this track. I tend to cut the lows and then cut the highs. This is not exact, but kind of like I have a low cut and high cut for sure. And I usually have several vocal tracks with different EQ setup. One with like radio telephony effect, and one for close up, and one for far away for adding different textures. Add several more tracks here. Insert audio track, guitars, and then I know my guitar will come through channel 5. Set that as a default, and my default EQ for the guitar would be something like that. I know I'm going to have phaser effects, for example. Something like that. And you would like this setup to be your starting point for every track. And it has like several advantages. One is the consistency. So if you're recording an album and you would like all your tracks to have same sort of sound and feel, it is important that your starting point is identical. For that reason, this is very handy. You can change it, of course, later on for your next project. You can change the default for your next album. After you make your setup to your liking, you can go to preferences, go to file and folder, and then click on save. And once you do that, whenever you start a new project, this will be the page that you will see. I didn't click on save because I already have my default template that I like. Let me show it to you. For me, that's what it looked like. I have a side chaining. I have separate track groups for kicks, and drum is basically all the other beat component that is not a kick. I keep the kick separately, and in my next video I'll show you why I do that. And this is a return audio. Basically I have several return tracks here. One is lexicon, reverb. The other one is universal audio, precision delay, and flanger, and lexicon, flanger, and also ping pong delay. I have them set up as a return track. The aggregation of all these effects output will flow into return audio, where I filter out certain frequencies. And in my subsequent videos I will explain why I do that and why I've set it up that way. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. I will be uploading a lot of tips and tricks for making your production as enjoyable as possible. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.